Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of Breakdown with Hansen and Brown. I am, of course, the Hansen part of that two-name duo, and with me today, as always, is my co-host in a Spider-Man shirt, the magnificent, the splendid, the amazing Spider Joe.
That is the best compliment you've had. That of all the adjectives you've used to describe me, throwing spider in there just makes me so happy. Thank you.
You're very welcome, Joe.
Steve.
And with us today is a very special guest, continuing the theme of friends from our hometown who go to different schools than us. It's the incredible, the impeccable, the amazing. I use some of the same adjectives.
You're a failure, Jake.
I need a bigger vocabulary. This is why I'm a math major, not an English major, but whatever. Let's go over to Jake Rehling. Jake, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. I'm excited to be here.
Jake, we are very excited to have you here. It's been a long time coming.
I know, since I've harassed you to let me be on your show.
What, 4 weeks ago? Jake contacted us after our episode with Mike, and then we did Nick, and then Evie, and then Ben Pavlik, and then Bridie. So it was 4 weeks. 4 weeks in that.
Yeah, you can imagine my heartbreak when each week I'd see an Instagram story post from David that says, join our live stream, special guest, not Jake. And I was like, oh, come on.
It specifically said not Jake every time.
Each post was another stab in the heart.
Another stab in the heart.
Well, it took a hot second. We had some obstacles to avoid, including your birthday last week. But you're here. Jake is an old boy.
You are now 20, right?
In his 20s.
I am 20 years old and 7 days.
So you're no longer a teen. What is what? Any marvelous revelations hit you last week the minute you turned 20?
Absolutely nothing changed whatsoever. Maybe it'll change when I'm 21. Because 20, I feel like, is one of those birthdays where you're just like, yay.
Yeah.
I'm 20. Cool.
You're
like
still
there's
1
nothing
year away from the important.
You're like 2 decades. Awesome. Like there's nothing special about 20. So, and on top of that, I was in quarantine for it. So I was like, well, this is going to have to happen this way. And, but it's funny because my birthdays, the time I was born is literally at the very end of the day. I was born at 10:17 p.m. So I'm spending the entire day telling people I'm 20 when I'm not actually 20. And so I feel like I'm lying every year.
Now, you go to college at North Central, which is
yes.
there it is. Nice shirt. Which is about like a 20-minute drive away from our hometown, would you say?
25, 30, yeah.
And
give me those extra 5 minutes.
And an excellent school for the performing arts and the arts in general.
Yes.
Now, for your birthday, since you were so close to your school, were you able to celebrate? Were you able to meet up in any of the recent days with any of the people from your school, or was it only people from our hometown?
It was only people from our hometown because a lot of the people who go to North Central are from different surrounding towns, but a lot of them are closer to Naperville than me in a sense. So I didn't get to see anyone from school on my birthday, but I did get a lot of nice, text messages from them, which was nice. But I saw lots of my friends when they did a parade for me, which was, I didn't know how to act. It was very awkward. And then the second you guys left, there was another one from my church that happened like 10 minutes after everybody left. So I was in the same boat of just like super awkward and just like, hi, I don't know what to do.
So is it like a bigger version of when people sing happy birthday to you, or you're just there like, yay, this is
like, well, the funny thing is like, sure, but like, I've just felt so bad for my neighbors.
Yeah.
Who like have to deal with all the honking and then be like, okay, it's over, and then have to deal with it again. But it was fun. It was, it was fun to see all my friends when I didn't think I would. So that was cool. But like in those kinds of situations, I'm just like, I do this like thing where I'm just like, I don't know what to do with myself.
Yeah, you get the little Porky Pig going. You're like, give it,
Hi everyone. I don't know.
Thanks, folks.
That's okay. That's all, folks.
That's all, folks.
Nice hat,
Oh
Joe.
my
I didn't even
God.
notice that.
I
That was very live.
I realized that I was the only one not repping my college because David's got the U of I shirt and Jake's got
Yes.
the North Central shirt on. So I tossed on the bucket hat
Look at us,
over
all
my headphones.
continuing to live in the
Don't
state
you
of
all have
Illinois.
bucket hats? Like, don't all U of I people from our grade have
Yes,
bucket hats?
we all, not all U of I people, all of our friends, David and Owen, well, David, Owen, Aaron, and I all got the same bucket hat. We all got this one. And we bought one
Okay.
for Mrs. Marionetti.
Oh.
I tried to
She
find them.
really appreciated it.
I tried to
That's
find them
funny.
recently, and they're off the shelves. It's sad. It's
They
a
are
sad
hard.
day.
It is the nicest bucket hat you can get for U of I, and it was hard to find. It was so hard to find. Once I found a link that worked, I had to email that link to all of our friends that they could find it because there was like no other way to get to it. Mrs. Marinetti
Wow.
liked the bucket hat so much she wrote a note about it in my yearbook at the end of the year.
Oh.
Oh, teacher's pet. Haha, stinky.
She's funny because I had a page in my yearbook that was specifically for teachers that I've had in the past, and I handed it to her, and she like flipped it back, and the first thing she wrote was like, "I'm not writing on the teacher page." Ha! And I was like,
What a rebel.
such like a, I know, radio rebel over here, man.
I'm always surprised that she wrote anything nice on my yearbook based on when I asked her, because I walked into a choir class that was taking a final 3 separate times to ask her to sign the yearbook, not realizing that they were the first time not realizing that they were taking a final. And I walked in the room. It's like, hey, Mrs. Marinetti, can you sign my yearbook? Like in the middle of because they were all just sitting, like everyone was scattered around the room like you do when you have a free period. I thought it was like during the free period time because I came back to York after our last day of school. I snuck back into the building to get Mrs. Marinetti to sign my yearbook. And so I did that, and she was like, Joe, we're taking a final.
So much trouble just to get some more ink in your yearbook.
I know, right? And it was not hard at all. I put on my ID and I walked into the building.
To play devil's advocate, a choir final, I mean, that's something you can interrupt.
Right, but then here's the thing: is I left the room, and it was really awkward. And I came back 20 minutes later thinking it was done, but it was very much not done. And so then I had to.
Because
it
takes more than 20 minutes on a choir final. I handed mine in after like 10 minutes.
Well, that's what I was thinking, is that like I didn't think they would use the entire period for the final because it was the choraleers, and I never thought any final would take. Wait, was it? No, it was the all-girls cadet choir because it was the class my sister
I heard
was in.
that's a real GPA buster, that class. So yeah, that's why.
And I came back like a half an hour later thinking they have to be done with the final at this point. Nope. So then finally I had to wait until the entire period was over to give her the yearbook, and then she spent like 20 minutes writing in it. And then I took it and I left, and I felt very awkward about the entire situation. So I have no idea why she wrote anything nice.
You're like me. You're like,
yeah. I imagine she would have written like one sentence. It would have been like, "You're an absolute nuisance, and I'm glad you're gone." And then just hand it back.
Can you imagine?
It's so weird. That's what I wrote.
That is exactly what David wrote in my yearbook, which is slightly better than our friend Mike, who wrote nothing in my yearbook. He refused to sign it.
Oh.
What a good guy. What a genuine guy.
There are so many people who I would be like, will you sign my yearbook? It's my senior year yearbook. And they would respond with like, no, sorry, I don't do yearbooks. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, my master.
Oh, you don't
precious time.
You don't do yearbooks?
With such a pitiful request.
I just, I don't really like to say nice things about people.
I kind of feel that because sometimes it's like, how much do I write? If I write too much, is it weird if I don't know this person that well? I tried to strike a nice balance with the yearbooks. Most people, there are a couple people in my yearbook that I did not intend to ask them to sign it, but somebody else was signing it, and they were like, oh, can I sign it too? And I'm like, yeah, of course, go sign it. There's one person in my yearbook,
no, you can't sign it.
Right. There's one person in my yearbook where their signature is so illegible, I can't tell exactly who it is, but I think it is Aiden Frank because I remember him signing my yearbook and I can't find his name anywhere else. I think he signed his name so illegibly that I could not recognize who it was.
I did a deep clean of my room, like when quarantine was like first starting, and I found this giant poster in my closet that was from 8th grade Brian choir. There was like this giant poster and my name was in the middle and there were so many like signatures around it. And I was looking at this poster with my mom, and my mom would be like, "Oh, who's that?" And I go, "I have no idea." Like, because people just sign like their first names, so they'd be like, it would be like, "Jake, like, good luck at York. You're such a great singer." Sam, like
it would be like Emily, Sam, Emma.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, in Elmhurst, there's about like 5 names.
There's about 5
I think
million
if you take
Emilys.
the population of Elmhurst and put it all together, you'll get maybe a grand total of like 12 names.
That is pretty fair.
Now,
and if not, you'll have at least middle names. Everyone's Anne or Grace.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we even had 2 Joe Browns at school at the same time.
There was another Joseph Brown.
My point exactly.
There were 2 Joseph Browns. We were a year apart at the same high school. We also went to the same middle school.
I remember that because I also went to your middle school.
I was not happy when he showed up. There was another kid in our grade named Joseph Black, who's a good friend of mine.
Whoa.
Wasn't he one of the 4 Joseph?
He goes to UMass. He goes to University of Massachusetts. He is he's a very clever kid. He's a computer science student. But we had Joseph Brown and Joseph Black, and then a year younger, we had another Joseph Brown.
Now, I don't want to rub it in too much to if any of our listeners are listening that didn't get to sign yearbooks this year. I don't want to rub it in too much. So, we'll try to stop talking about yearbooks.
Why don't we talk about prom next? Man, prom was so much fun.
The greatest.
Senior prom, best memory of my entire life.
Yeah, I just don't want
everyone's
them to
gonna dislike this video.
I just want this to be an escape, so they don't have to think about how terrible it is. That they really missed a lot.
No, like real talk here. I don't want to rub it in, but like, remember how when on our senior prom it was snowing the whole day, and we were like, "This is a disaster. It's snowing on our senior prom."
How could this get worse?
We were such
wouldn't
babies.
leave the harbor. So we went on the Odyssey as our after prom party, and it was snowing so hard they wouldn't leave the harbor. So normally the yacht like goes around the harbor for a little bit. We stayed docked, and we were like, "This is such a travesty." Oh man! Oh, we were so spoiled.
I feel like we were such babies. We're just like the smallest of issues, especially given now.
Right. Yeah.
Like just looking back, like they pronounced my name wrong at graduation. It's like, well, at least you got one. Like
the whole thing with us not having senior quotes, like based on how many restrictions they ended up putting on the senior quotes, it like didn't even matter. I didn't even get to use the first 3 senior quote ideas that I wanted to use because they were all quoting teachers, and they made you not. Quoting teachers is the most fun for yearbooks. I wanted to quote Jeremy Paschke. My senior quote was going to be, "Well, everything's a contest." Quote Jeremy Paschke, because it was the only time a teacher ever told me that everything was in fact a contest, and I loved it. I wasn't allowed to do it.
Was he also the one who said no? Someone said, winning isn't everything; it's the only thing. Is he the one who said that? One of our teachers said that.
That sounds like a
Jeremy
Paschke
a Dowdy.
It could have also been a Dowdy quote.
Now, so yeah, like I said, I don't want to, beat it too hard about how great we had it and how bad the people, the grade below us have it. So I do want to talk about Jake. Your time at North Central it's been a little bit unique because you started off, you had 2 things coming in that you knew you loved. You loved music and you loved teaching. So music education, right? That makes sense.
It was perfect, but it wasn't.
Now, so tell us, like, you've switched majors is what I'm alluding to. Tell us, like, what made you decide that, how that process went, and, just like looking back at it, if you have anything you would change along in the process.
Yeah. So I study musical theater, and I also study directing. So I have 2 majors, which is really cool that to think about, like, at the end of my 4 years, I'll have 2 bachelor's degrees. That's kind of cool. But I remember looking back at, like, when I was applying for schools and, like, when I was just thinking about my life, a thought in the back of my head was, oh, well, the school has to have a good theater program. I don't know why, it just was. And I just never questioned that. But I think what was going on with me was I was like, well, I really want to be a teacher. Like, I didn't invite to teach, for God's sake. Like, so I was like, I really want to be a teacher and I love to sing. So let's just put the two together. It will be great. And then I got to school and I was like, oh no. Like, I was looking at, like, classes that I have to take in the future. And I was like, I'm not passionate about this whatsoever. Like, I think I'm passionate about the end goal, but I wasn't passionate about how to get there. And I think you need to be passionate about the whole thing when it comes to what you're doing with your life forever. So I went into school also as a theater minor. And so I was like I was taking, like, some theater classes, and I was familiar with the department and who was who and who to talk to and stuff. And so I decided, I was like, well, I'm just going to switch my major because I still want to be a teacher. I just don't really want to teach music. So I'll just switch to elementary ed because I want to teach that grade level anyway, and it'll be great. And then I was doing that, but I was doing way more performing in college than I was anything prepping to be a teacher. And I was just finding that I was much more passionate about all the performing that I was doing and all the classes that I was taking, other than the end goal to be a teacher. So this past semester, I ended up switching my major to theater to study the arts because that's the biggest thing that I have a passion for. And my goal right now is to just, like, get my degrees and just, like, be a performer as much as I can. And if that leads me to a lifetime of performing, well, then that's just what I'll do. But I would love to what a lot of people do is they'll end up going back to school, getting a master's and becoming, like, a performing arts professor or teacher. So that's a goal that I think I'd like to do later in my life. And it was like, when I realized that was what I wanted to do, I got very excited and that was the first time I actually felt like a sense of excitement of what I was doing with my future. And so that's when I knew that it was the right pick. And I have a school that has a great program for it,
Right.
and a great department. So I didn't even have to, like, think about transferring. And it was just the stars aligned really for me.
I think that's so interesting because, like, I think that's something important people need to realize going into college is that, you don't know really what you want to do, but as long as you find a school that can promote what you're interested in,
Mm-hmm.
You'll have clearly like a plethora of possibilities.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that really worked out for you is because North Central is so good at all of your interests that you had going in that it gave you that flexibility to kind of move around.
Mm-hmm. And I would never, like, I'm not knocking, like, the stuff that I was in before. Like, North Central has an amazing teaching education school and department, and, like, we have a lot of teachers on my campus. So I wouldn't, it just wasn't the right fit for me personally. But honestly, sometimes I feel like for incoming freshmen to college just, like, have an idea of what they want to do, but just everyone should just go in, like, undeclared or undecided or something, like, because you're 18 years old. You shouldn't have to decide what you want to do for the rest of your life at the age of 18, And that's why
I would say,
yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say that there are benefits to applying to schools in certain programs. A lot of schools won't let you transfer into certain programs. So if you think that's what you want to do, it's probably safer to apply for that and then drop out of it than to try and get into it. An example would be computer science at most colleges that are pretty good at it. Like at U of I, it's pretty impossible to transfer into a computer science major. So if you think that's what you want to do, you should definitely shoot for that and then you can transfer out of it. But there's also, there's a lot of pressure on kids to, like, be definitive about their major right when they leave high school. And that's really not the case for most people. A lot of kids get to college, start doing what they picked and go, oh, I think maybe I've realized that I want to be doing something else, and then they transfer their major. It's not like a failure. It's just learning a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, it's a lot. You do a lot of self-reflecting, I think, when you get to school. And my RA in my dorm building changed his major 5 times. Like, I can't imagine doing that.
Jeez.
But like he said, it was all freshman year, and so freshman year I think is the big point in your life to figure out who you are as a human being, and what you want to do and stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting in like my particular family that I've had conversations with my parents and my older brother is that of the members of my family that are in college, I'm the only one that hasn't changed my major because my mother went to college as a physical therapy major and transferred to psychology. Yeah. My dad showed up at college and changed his major twice. He was, I think, a mechanical engineering major and then changed to electrical and then changed to chemical engineering. And my brother showed up on college and I think he was like a marketing and business major and he eventually switched to psychology. I think it's a lot more common than people like to think to switch your major, just because that's what happens when you show up at college is you get to actually learn what it is you're excited about when you're just looking at it from the outside when you're in high school.
Yeah. And like people tell you like, oh, don't worry about it, like going in, you can always switch. But like until you see it in person, it's hard for you to believe that it's like actually like something
an
people
option.
do. Yeah. Like you're like, yeah, okay, sure. That's just what, they tell you, but there's no way. But
it's like, you can.
It's like a really easy process too. You just like go to for me, I didn't have to like talk to anyone. I just filled out a piece of paper and handed it to a woman and she said, okay, great, you're all set. And I said, okay. The next day I looked in the system and it was changed. So
that's what I would say. Like I would avoid personally colleges that make that process difficult. I remember when I was visiting schools, of all the schools I visited Carnegie Mellon University, and they were very hard pressed on the whole changing your major thing. They were like, yeah, you can do it, but it's really hard. And you have to, like most majors, it's really hard, the application process to get in. Like they made it very difficult, especially between engineering disciplines. At the University of Illinois, if you want to change your major between engineering disciplines, mostly you can do that. It's pretty hard to transfer into computer science, but for most other majors, if you're a good student, you have a decent GPA, if you want to switch programs, you can. At Carnegie, it was like, well, what if I come in as a computer engineering student and I decide I want to go electrical, which a lot of kids do. They're very similar. They're like, well, it's like you can do that, but it's like it's really hard. There's an application process. You might not get in. We have a threshold. I would suggest not going to a school that's like that, especially if you're kind of unsure in what you're doing. Having that flexibility is really nice, to just have a safety net to know that if you want to switch majors, you can, and you can stay at the same school. It's a really nice thing.
Yeah, take that, Carnegie Mellon.
That's my little stab at Carnegie for not accepting me.
Who needs you?
Listen, but to be fair, it's as hard to change your major at Carnegie Mellon as it is to find a good sports team. So,
oh, that is rough. They have a competitive knitting team called what was it? They have a competitive knitting team and it had a pun for a name. It was like Yarnageddon. And I like raised my hand during the tour and I was like, how on earth did you guys not name it Yarnagie Mellon? Yeah. What were you thinking there? What was you have the pun in the name of your school.
Oh crap.
That was a little too on the nose.
I think it would have been perfect. They're idiots.
There are so many like weird clubs at schools that just like absolutely blow my mind. Like my brother just graduated from University of Iowa and like they had Harry Potter club, which I think is normal. I think a lot of schools have that. But like they're like places that I've seen or schools, cheese club or something like that, where they just like continue, like they just meet and eat cheese. And I'm like, what? That's just interesting to me. Mm-hmm. Like you're just gonna enjoy yourself, make friends over your love of cheese.
My favorite club
combo. You even eat the cheese. Maybe you just look at it. I don't know.
I bet there's like real division of power in the cheese club, where it's like the firm cheeses versus the soft cheeses, and it's just like you have to pick a side once you join.
At the University of Illinois,
you just have to eat a bunch of pepper jack and like burn.
Oh geez. Oh yeah, they give you the spiciest cheese.
Yes.
Just like
that's their hazing.
It's
That's how
not for
they
the
haze.
weak, cheese club.
That's their hazing.
Yeah, that's their initiation process. You're like, Pepper Jack, go.
Go.
At U of I, my favorite club combo that they always talk about at the tours is that U of I has a bird watchers club, and then there is a
I
bird
heard
watchers
that.
watchers club of people that watch the bird watchers.
I want to
Oh
join
my
that
God.
club.
You know what? I do remember that because I did apply to U of I, but I didn't end up going. But I do remember my tour they talked about that club, and I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
Bird
it's,
watching or bird watchers.
There are some weird clubs at U of I, especially if you go to Quad Day, which is not going to happen this year due to COVID-19. But
who
Quad Day, they
knows?
fill.
Maybe.
I am the president of an RSO, David. They've already contacted us, giving us alternatives for Quad Day. They are not
That's
doing
like
Quad
so
Day.
helpful for incoming freshmen, though. That's so bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it sucks. They're not giving us the option to put up tents though, because I was trying to schedule a tent for Sat Dev, and they were like, "That's not happening."
Maybe
Because
we'll do second
it's a
semester
massive
Quad
gathering of
Day.
people. Maybe, hopefully. Because when I was at Quad Day, I found so many weird clubs. There is a club in the physics department of students that get together and watch action movies and make fun of all the terrible physics. And I almost joined that club. That sounded really funny to me.
Because you're, what kind of engineering are you again, Joe?
I am a computer engineering major.
Okay.
Or as I
So I do a
frequently
bunch of
say,
stuff.
computer science.
I do a lot of computer science. So
But
it's
I'm
pretty
wrong.
fair.
But that's all right.
Pretty fair. U of I, in a lot of colleges, my major would be an electrical engineering major with a computer science minor. U of I has a very old and a very developed computer engineering program, which is very specialized. I take a lot of classes that were developed specifically for my major. And because of that, it is quite different from just an electrical engineering major with a comp sci minor. I appreciate that a lot. Is one of the things I was looking at when I was applying to schools is whether or not they had created a curriculum for my major, and U of I has one of the oldest and the best curriculums for computer engineers.
Yeah. That's awesome. I still refuse to believe that David's major is real.
Oh, it's actual. It's real.
It is
his response
actuarial.
every time.
It is an
It
actual
is
science.
actuarial science.
It's an actual science.
God, it's such a dumb pun. It's an actuarial science, guys. It is
it's a
actuarially
I remember,
real.
like,
I wear a lab coat while I do math.
I knew like what all my friends were doing. Like we were in high school together. I knew like what everyone was doing. And then I remember I was looking around the room and I looked at David and I was like, I don't know what David's doing. And I went over and I asked him, I was like, David, what do you plan to major? And he goes, well, you were undecided for a while. You didn't know.
Yeah.
But then you told me, I was like, oh, I think I'm going to do actuarial science. And I just went, no, David, you have to major in like something real. Like, I don't know.
That has to be
like,
what is this, alchemy?
I have
is this
never
like,
heard of that in my life.
Neither had I.
Yeah, I was
Before
just that
David
jerk.
mentioned to me, I'd never heard of it.
I was just that jerk that wanted to pick a major that no one else knew to make me seem cool. It was either that or
Which is such a David
kinesiology.
Hansen move. Like,
I
feel like that would
remember
be the
I
reason
went
you
to-
picked actuarial science.
I went out to breakfast with David once, and we had this conversation with this older woman that was sitting next to us about our majors. And it would be a long story to explain that she kind of made fun of my major a little bit. She said some rude things, but she never said anything rude about David's. She actually, after David said his major, never talked about it again. She just latched onto mine. And I'm convinced it's because she
didn't know what it was.
Had no clue what it was.
She couldn't make fun of my major. Ooh.
She got really triggered by me saying I was studying computers, and she went on this long tangent about how every kid in America is studying computers now and the whole market's oversaturated. She said nothing about David's major. She had no idea what he was studying. He was like actuarial science, and she's like, no, I'm gonna talk to this kid.
I'm like, nice try, old lady. Go back to your hard-boiled egg. Ah.
Where like I tell people what I'm doing, and I either get two responses. I get the concerned response, which is like, "Oh, okay, so how are you gonna make money?" And I get that response, and then I get the response where they're like overly excited, and they're like, "Really? Like, tell me about that!" Like,
wow.
They're like, "This is a drama, and I'm invested now. Where's my popcorn?" Do you ever get the people?
Yeah,
that,
right.
Like,
and so
I was gonna say, do you?
And
ever
they're
get
like,
the
I'm going to
people that
remember
are-
this meeting when we were in Egg Harbor. Like, I'm going to remember you. I'm like, no, you won't.
You won't.
You don't even know my name.
Egg Harbor, what a great restaurant.
I met him in
No,
Egg
it's
Harbor years and
Berkeley or
years ago.
something.
Joe,
Are they
what were you-
open right now or like doing takeout?
Carry out, yeah.
Carry up. That's rough. Oh, I got stray hen the other day. Remember that, David? I sent you a picture.
Stray hen is good.
Stray hen is so much
There
better
are
than Egg
direct
Harbor.
rivals.
I love stray hens so much.
Gotta support
I love
businesses.
I love everything that I will continue to support Stray Hen because I don't want them to go out of business. That's literally my favorite restaurant in Elmhurst.
Okay.
Oh, really?
I get it. You're sponsored. Do the ad read.
Stray Hen, are you looking for an amazing breakfast in Elmhurst and you really don't want Egg Harbor? Go to Stray Hen. We got your back.
Thank you to Stray Hen for sponsoring this episode, even though Egg Harbor's better.
You're actually sponsored by Egg Harbor. You're on their payroll.
I'm not sponsored. I work for them. There's a difference.
You're a little bit more invested in Egg Harbor than I am in Stray Hen.
You just like Stray Hen because it makes me mad. It's the same reason.
They have cinnamon apple French toast that is so fluffy.
It's marvelous. I know. I had it.
They make the best omelets. They make breakfast sliders with sausage and just amazing buns and soft egg. Everything that I've ever ordered on their menu is amazing. I order a different thing every time I go, and I've never been disappointed.
Joe?
Ooh, they also make their own blackberry jam, and I love jam on toast. It's my favorite breakfast food.
They put watermelon in their water. Just put a lemon like a normal person.
I love the watermelon water.
Watermelon
so good.
in their water.
Yeah, they put water. Well, they put different fruits. So sometimes
wrong.
it's pineapple, sometimes it's watermelon, sometimes it's lemon. It's a different fruit most of the time.
I swear,
I'm all for watermelon, but to put it in water,
it just makes it a little bit sweeter.
Incorrect.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you.
All right, wait, to go back to the question I was going to ask Jake earlier, do you ever get the response of the person that's like almost trying to live vicariously through you? That's like, you're following your dreams. That's so good. You should always follow your dreams. I became an accountant and now I hate my life. Go soar for the skies. You can do it. I believe in you.
Yes, and to that I just nod very awkwardly. I just like, okay, like people will say, I've had that, response to me before. A lot of the people who respond to me in that way are like upperclassmen who meet me and find out that I'm, doing the same major as them, or they're like older actors, they're just like, go follow dreams. Like, it's a hard business, but I believe in you and I think you can do it. And I'm just like, okay, thank you very much.
I love all the people who immediately, when you tell them about college, they immediately tell you about their own experience. I remember especially
you're like, that was not the question.
I was like, hello. During the admissions process, you'd be like, yeah, I'm kind of looking into schools that are good at blank. And they're like, oh, did you know this school that I graduated from was pretty good at blank? That's why I went there. I'm like, cool.
Thank you for sharing.
I was not looking into that, but.
And if you go to York High School and you want to go to U of I, what you always hear is like, oh, did you know that U of I is boring and uninteresting and you are not unique if you go there?
Because everyone
from York like hates U of I for some reason. Even people who go to U of I remember on decision day on their Instagram post would be like, if you had told me 2 years ago I was going to U of I would have told you were dead wrong, because no one wants to go to U of I because they want to feel special, and everyone goes to U of I.
When like U of I is such a prestigious school for like everything.
And it's also in-state, so you get in-state tuition.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, that's just York for you. Taking something that's really good and scoffing it off because everyone else likes it.
Well, yeah, but at York, you could be like, oh, what's that? You're going to Stanford to study like language and literature? That's awesome. Oh, what's that? You're going to U of I for computer science, one of the best computer science schools in the entire country. But it's U of I, dude.
Like, whatever.
But it's U of I, you ununique piece of shit.
They're like, go you, but here are all the flaws that come with that.
You could name not even a good school. You can name a school no one's heard of, and they would be like, oh, that's so cool. Tell me about that. Like, my cousin's going to Lynn University, which is in Florida, and it's a really good school. But like, imagine at York.
Lin-Manuel Miranda?
Man, I wish. No, but it is basically a resort.
otherwise I'm
super
not
happy
interested.
about it.
Because then I just don't care.
But imagine being like, I'm going to Wartburg College. Like, I've never heard of that. That sounds interesting. Someone else would be like,
Wartburg.
I'm going to University of Illinois. Like, get out of here.
Shut
So is
up.
everyone else. I'm not interested in you.
I was getting emails because we all lived through that time of the treacherous college emails. I kept getting one that like I don't remember the specific name, but it was like it was like the ugliest name for a school I've ever heard. Like you hear the last name like Snodgrass, and you're like, oh, the poor person whose last name is Snot. It was I'm pretty sure it had the word snot in the name. I'm not even kidding.
Snotham University.
It was
Technical
like the
Institute.
worst, and I was like, who in their right mind would hear that name and think that's the school for me? Apparently, lots of people.
Yeah.
I hate the name
reputable, Rice is a really nice school, though.
I know, but what a terrible name. Hi, we're Rice University. Our brother college is Oates, and
Rice
our
has like an
rivals
11%
Barley.
acceptance rate. It's a really, really nice school.
I know. I'm well aware. I just wish they would have picked a nicer name, because I get an email
so
that
does
says,
Brown.
"Hi, I'm from Rice." I'm like,
Brown University is the
Thank you so
stupidest
much.
name.
Brown
And I can say that,
University.
one, because it's also my name, and two, because I've met a couple people that went to Brown. One of my TAs in chemistry is a graduate from Brown, and he said that all of the kids that go to Brown hate the school because apparently the school is really corrupt, and they like literally take money from like oil companies and shit. Like, it's really bad.
Whoa.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
I agree.
He was like, nobody who went to Brown likes the establishment, like, of the faculty there. He's like, it's really bad.
Brown
I am
is a
usually
terrible
like
name.
I am usually like really late to the game when it comes to school. I'm usually like really late to the game when it comes to like schools that apparently like everyone's heard of. Like this year, I just found out what Clemson was. I had no idea what Clemson University was. I had never heard of it in my entire life. And then like everyone's going there, and I'm like, what is this school? And I found out it's like a super not super, but
It's a very nice school.
It's a really nice school.
It's a very nice,
I'm
well-known
like, wow.
school.
I'm just, and then there's me like in the back, just like who like fell asleep during that part of the lecture.
Yeah.
And
Hot take on college applications for kids that are starting that process going into the summer. 95% of the schools that you have heard of, if you have heard of them, they are very nice schools, and you will do just fine if you go there. Pick the school that's
for
the right fit for you.
example,
Central
College in
if you have
Naperville,
heard
Illinois.
of this, if you have heard of the school, it's a nice school, because the bad schools are the ones that email you and you're like, what is that? I got the least reputable school that's ever emailed me, because I looked into it. It was called Cleveland State University.
The state
what
of
is like
Cleveland.
the student population of that?
I don't remember, but I remember that it was started in 1976.
Oh, so
because I looked it up. The acceptance rate was basically 100%. It was almost certainly a scam. They had no accolades, and they were offering me free application if I applied on St. Patrick's Day.
Why St. Patrick's Day?
They just really love the holiday, you know.
Those are the schools. So if you're going to go to Cleveland State University, that's not a great school. But like schools that you've heard of, even if you're like, oh, I don't think that's a very good, no, it's a good school. You'll do just fine.
You'll do fine.
Our two listeners that go to Cleveland State University have just unsubscribed.
Are good.
I'm getting a phone call right now, and it's from Cleveland, so that's not good.
Oh my God, they are watching.
They're watching.
They're like, shut it down.
We've reported you to
episode's-
YouTube. Your channel has been shut down.
This episode sponsored by Cleveland State University, just a fine, reputable university.
Cover it up.
They're real good.
Cover it up.
They're the best.
They are real, and you will get a good.
They are
a fine education, along with Snodgrass University.
Cleveland State University is well renowned in programs such as paleontology and actuarial science. That's not a real thing. Who wrote this? I'm sorry, and actuarial science.
Actually, one of my favorite stories, kind of talking about paleontology, is we went to the campus, Indiana's campus, Indiana University. That's a good school. And they were taking us on a tour, and they were showing us this big building. They were like, yeah, so, a while back we had this grant money, and we had to build a big building for some like major of study. And, we were deciding between engineering and geology, what would be the next big major. We chose geology.
Wrong choice.
Oops. So
geology is not a real
change
science.
the name.
So they put all their resources into geology, thinking like, engineering. Who's gonna do that?
Great.
Oops.
Oh God.
So,
North Central's building an engineering building, like I think as we speak,
Does
like
North
through
Central
the summer. So by the fall, we'll have like a whole building for engineering majors. Because we don't have a lot. So
I was going to ask if North Central even had an engineering program. A lot of small schools don't, and especially most liberal arts schools don't.
It's like you can major in like one form, and I'm pretty sure it's just called engineering. What we do have a lot of is like people major in like, I have a friend who majors in like business administrative, whatever that's called, and like he takes like engineering classes for that. So I think it's more so becoming like a business building, or maybe they're making engineering majors, so they're building a building for it.
It is actually less surprising to me now that I've taken a lot of engineering and I've spent a lot of time with different kinds of engineers. All engineering, like the fundamentals of engineering is so similar that like the disciplines almost don't matter. People that do engineering like can do all sorts of engineering. Like I'm a computer engineering major. A lot of the work that I've done this year in the lab that I work at is computer science. Some of it has been mechanical engineering. I hang out with a lot of aerospace engineers that do computer science and electronics engineering. It's like the people that do engineering are so cross-disciplinary, and the nature of being an engineer is so cross-disciplinary. Just having an engineering major actually makes sense to me. I mean, if you're teaching the basic fundamentals of math and physics and problem solving, maybe modeling, maybe, some AutoCAD, some mechanics, maybe a little bit of electrical engineering foundations. Like most people that do engineering don't like just sit in their lane and do their specific discipline. My dad's a great example of someone who over the course of his career has been an electrical, mechanical, chemical, biochemical engineer. He worked in the Navy and industrial systems engineering. He's literally done every kind of discipline of engineering to the point where it pisses me off because he knows way more about the stuff that I'm studying than I do. And his degree is in chemical engineering.
Wow.
And he knows so much about electrical and computer engineering. It's like annoying.
Oh, wow.
But that's just how engineering
crazy, Joe,
works.
how years of experience would triumph your own knowledge. Yeah.
Of 1 year.
He should not know more than me about electronics engineering. I've been doing nothing but electronics engineering for like the last 6 months, and he doesn't do any of it. He's literally never had a job in electronics engineering. He just does it in his free time.
I think you're a little green with envy there, Joe.
Joe, is that a speech poster behind you for info?
Speech team.
Yeah, that's a finals poster.
For info.
Is that like from state or something?
No, that's from Hoffman
Is
Estates.
that from state?
That's from the turkey tourney.
Oh.
No, that's
we couldn't take the posters from state. They probably sold them online.
Those go to the winners. They get handed out with them. That is this one.
Oh my God, it's like
Joe Brown.
That was for first place in info at Hoffman.
Mr. Gold Medalist.
Wow. You know what's funny?
Yeah,
Actually,
I got a few.
These are my speech medals right here.
Look at that.
And these are my ribbons. There's only 3 of them because everyone did medal.
Speech team's kind of dope for all you listeners who don't know.
I have a couple. Yeah, I have a couple trophies on my desk. I've got the MVP plaque.
Oh, look at
and
you.
Then the rest of my my other 2 plaques and the rest of my medals are all hung up on the wall over there.
Yeah, I have my plaques over there. I had a poster like on this wall right here. I had a poster from like my sectionals from like sophomore year, because that was the farthest I ever got in speech team. Was the final round of sectionals. And so like I think that was the year that Mary Daniels won, or someone won. No, it was because someone won who didn't deserve to win. So Mary Daniels probably got like second.
Oh, ain't that the story of speech? Ask any speech kid And like 90% of the time, they'll be like, somebody won that didn't deserve to win.
Deserve
It's
to
like,
win.
hot take. Nobody thinks anyone does. I've tried so
Except
hard
for
to let
them,
go
like
of
they
that
think that they should
mentality.
win.
Because like
Well,
it matters so
Right?
little. It's something that I was so mad about for so long, and like, who cares? I have like 36 medals from speech, and I was on it for 2 years. So who am I to complain about who deserved to win at what points? Actually, my favorite thing that I've ever won specifically is that I have 3 of these plaques from the team, because there are how many? How many different
Whoa.
awards does the team hand out every year, David? I think 4 or 5.
4.
4.
Best
4.
male
I
speaker,
have
best female speaker, best
Most
like
improved
newbie, and yeah, most improved.
and rookie of the
Oh, so 5. 5,
There's
yeah, 5.
So of those 5, I won 3 of those awards over the 2 years that I was on the team, because I won Best Male Speaker and Rookie of the Year my junior year, and then
Wow.
I won MVP senior year. So I have 3 out of the 5.
We're not worthy.
So I'm pretty proud of.
I'm in the
Shut up,
present.
David.
the
You were
speech
David. You were
master.
MVP and then Best Male Speaker. You have 1 less than me.
Listen, I don't have any medals near me.
I
but
was
I
most
do have a train,
improved
a little choo-choo
speaker.
train.
If train.
So take that, Joe Brown and Jake Rehling.
I can't handle the train.
Oh,
Alrighty.
man.
We are nearing the end of our time together on this episode, friends. And as we end every episode, we like to play a little game that we call Joe.
Sticks and stones to pay your loans.
That's right. In this game.
Oh, I've seen this game. I remember now. Yes.
Hooray! All right. So you know the rules. For the viewers who don't, we come up with little scenarios that have consequences, but we get all of our student loans paid off. So we have to decide if we're willing to go with these situations in order to have, financial security. Very, very lovely and superficial game. Joe, do you have any situations for us to start off?
I do have a situation.
Well,
This
all
one's
right.
going to have to be catered a little bit individually to each person, because we are all different. But here's my situation. We're talking about programs, switching programs, figuring out what you like. So my situation is this. In order to get your student loans paid for the rest of your college experience, every single semester you must take at least 1 class that is in your least favorite subject area that has nothing to do with your major. So, for example, David, what is your least favorite subject in school?
French.
You have to take 1 French class per semester for the rest of college, and that class affects your GPA.
No.
Jake, what's your least favorite subject in school?
Math.
You have to continue on a math track, taking harder and harder math classes every semester, and they will affect your GPA. And for me, I guess my least favorite subject is probably maybe history. I really don't like history. Maybe I can't say Spanish because I actually was a Spanish minor for a semester. So I can't say
Were you
it's my least
really? I
favorite.
didn't know that.
Yeah,
I was. I'm still pursuing the language. I'm just not taking the minor anymore. It's kind of useless. I'm going to say history. I don't like history very much.
Well,
It feels kind of like a cop-out, though, because I have to take history classes anyway as a gen ed.
and the history classes aren't necessarily all that hard. Like, you'll be able to keep a good GPA. With French,
Yeah,
I'm not going to be able to keep a good GPA.
I'm gonna give you one better. I'm gonna say I have to continue taking more and more advanced math classes because I am so sick of taking calculus. And after I finish DiffyQ, like, what's after DiffyQ? I'm gonna put
Linear.
I don't know
myself
what
on math
DiffyQ is.
because I don't want to take anything higher than I don't want to take any of the math classes I have left. I certainly don't want to take anything higher, and they will wreck my GPA. So I think that's fair for me. Is I have to continue taking harder and harder math classes.
Every semester or every year?
Every semester for the rest of college. You have to fit one into your schedule.
Okay, here's my problem. Is that there's a lot of classes I want to. This won't just affect like, oh no, that's not going to be any fun. This might prevent me from being able to get a minor unless it's a minor in French. But like, because it's going to take up credit hours that I can't be using on something else.
Yeah, I guess that's right. Is I might get a minor in math if I do that.
I mean, I have right now I have 2 majors and a minor. So just throw on like another class.
Taking math classes.
Taking a math class.
The French department's going to hate me. I'm going to walk in. It's going to be, oh, look at this. It's this guy again. He takes a class with us every semester, but he hates us. I hate this silly American and his uncultured swag.
You did like a cooking video, David, on your story that was like But like you didn't finish. I think it was just a video of you pouring onions in the pan, and then I just never saw what happened. And I was
deleted
like,
it because it was bad. It was not funny.
I remember I was like, oh, I wonder what David's making, and then I went back like an hour later, and I was like, well, I'll never know.
Sometimes you just gotta realize when something's absolutely garbage and just throw it away.
I guess I can understand that.
No, but I don't think I could do this. Just because I think it would impact my future so much that, like now I won't have the minors I want to have. I'll have like a worse GPA because I suck at French. Yeah, I don't know.
This for me, and I know I
think
came up
it's
with
gonna be a no from me.
I think even though I came up with this one, it wouldn't affect my schedule that much because I have enough room in my schedule because I'm not currently in a minor. And getting a math minor for an engineer is actually pretty common. But I'll be damned if you're going to make me take any more math classes outside of the ones I'm required to take. Anybody who hasn't, David, I know you will be taking these classes. Anyone who hasn't taken higher level calculus or differential equations, by God, those classes are not made for you to do well. They are so hard. I might have failed. I might have to take Calc 2 again because I took it pass fail and I might have gotten under a C. I swear to God. I'm still waiting to get.
Well, isn't that a pass? Oh no, that's not a pass. Yeah, that's not a pass.
Yeah, if you get below a C, you don't pass. I might have to take it again. I swear to God, I don't want to take any more math classes. I can't do it.
Joe. Meanwhile, I'm over here like I'm taking math for the liberal arts next year. Just
what I don't even know what math for the liberal arts would look like.
I guarantee you, it probably sounds really easy, but with someone with a math knowledge like myself, I'm probably gonna walk in and be like, they're gonna be like, ready, long division. I'm gonna be like, I don't know.
Can I offer a small alternative?
All right, what's the alternative?
Can I take these classes online? Can they be online classes?
Sure. Let's move it more towards how unpleasant is it to be taking a class that you don't like and less about like not being able to graduate on time.
I think I might be able to do it if I did it online. Then I might take it because
you know what? I still couldn't do it because math online. I don't know how that would work.
How about this? You have to take the class online. It doesn't affect your GPA, but you have to pass the class each semester.
If it doesn't affect my GPA, done.
And yeah, if it doesn't affect my GPA, then fine.
GPA was the kicker for me.
For me, it's like it's a maybe. Like I should be getting better at math, but I hate taking math classes so much. Like for me, there are certain things that I prefer to learn on my own in my own context, and one of those is math. I really hate math classes. I don't know if I do it.
Okay.
But to have my student loans paid.
So final answer from everyone before we move on to the next one. I will take it if it's online.
Yeah, if it's online and doesn't affect my GPA, I'll do it.
Okay. Joe?
To pay my student loans, I could get through it. Yeah, I would take the class.
All right. Looks like we all got our student loans paid off. Good job, guys.
Yeah. Woo!
All right. I have one. But before I get to mine, Jake, do you you've heard of the game before? Do you have any ideas swimming in your head?
I'll just say the first one that came to my head.
Please.
Your student loans get paid off, but anytime somebody asks you the question, "Hey, what's for dinner?" your legs just give out and you fall. You can get back up. You just fall.
You just take a dive.
Hit your head. You just fall.
Hey,
That just be like, what's for dinner? You just fall. You get back up and answer the question, but. If you have children one day, they're going to ask that question pretty often.
Hey, Dad, what's for dinner?
Oh, man.
Knees buckle.
Yeah, you could be.
You get like really old. You like break your hips.
Now,
well, if it's only that specific phrase,
you just have like a carpeted home. Household. Everything is carpet.
Yeah.
I'm envisioning you're in like some like epic duel with like your greatest enemy, and like you're like standing on a ledge where you're like you just saved yourself, and you turn around and there he is, and he's like, "Hey. What's for dinner?" And you're like, dun 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 dun. No.
And it's like the slow motion camera of you like falling, like looking up.
Long live the king. What's for dinner?
I think for me, this one's gonna fall under the category of some of the other ones I've answered, where that seems mildly entertaining to me. And to have my student loans paid, yeah, I'd do that. Because if you needed to, you could just like ban that phrase from your household, right?
Well,
Yeah,
Joe,
you have,
I
like, a
feel like
swear
since
jar
you
and-
broke both your legs, you just feel no pain anymore.
I feel
So I
pretty.
feel like it's just really
I
easy
feel
for
pretty
you.
good. I've made a pretty decent recovery, minus permanent nerve damage. So I'm doing pretty good.
Okay, I think I have nerve damage in my right kneecap from that one time in Bright Star rehearsal. I did a handstand and I fell on my knee. And because I still,
Someone
I
asked
definitely
what Jake,
feel
do
that
it.
there's like something
They're like,
wrong.
Jake, do a handstand.
Jake was actually holding up the
No.
handstand really well, but then someone asked, "What is for dinner?" And
It was over.
And his arms just
No, I
buckled.
remember because Mike kept doing them, and for some reason I was like, I'm gonna show Mike that I can do one.
Like,
I don't
Right.
know why. Who am I to prove myself to Mike
Oh,
Vindeman?
man.
I was just like, I'm gonna do one. And so like I just go up and I was able to hold it for maybe 2 seconds. And then I just felt my legs just start falling forward.
Right.
So I was like, oh no. So I like bent them down and I just fell right on this kneecap.
Yeah.
And ever since then I've been like super numb and like can't really like feel it. So I'm pretty certain it's nerve damage, but I just never went to the
In
doctor.
my opinion, the number one rule for doing handstands is know how you're going to
Don't
get
fall.
out of the handstand before you go up.
Oh, okay.
So
that
you
makes
should
more sense.
you should have a method for how you're going to catch yourself if you fall in either direction.
I should have just
fall-
done it right by
yeah.
you, but you had 2 broken
Well,
legs.
yeah, you either have
Concerned.
somebody hold you, or if you're falling forward, if you know how to roll out of it. Alternatively, if you can pyro out of it and like
Gotta
turn
do a
and bring your
barrel roll.
feet down.
But yeah,
I think you should know what your method for exit is before you go up into the handstand.
It's good life advice in general. You know, if there's a
Yeah.
fire in a building, you gotta have a method for exit.
You gotta
If
have
you
a
do a
method of-
handstand,
yeah, method of
gotta have the
exit.
exit. Okay,
Would
I
you
think
do it,
I could.
David? Your student loans are paid off, but you just fall.
I think I could do it, as
Hey,
long
what's
as
for dinner?
I use that money. As long as I use that money that I saved up from not paying loans on both Life Alert and knee pads. I'll be fine.
Life Alert and knee pads.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
can become the spokesman for Life Alert. Like, hi, I'm David Hansen.
And I suffer from a very rare condition.
When someone asks me what's for dinner, my legs just give out.
They
I
just,
used to worry that no one would help me up, but now that I have Life Alert,
Life
hey
Alert.
David, what's for dinner? What?
that pain will always go away.
Yeah, I think I can do it. I think I'll do it. Plus, it'd be a fun party trick. Just go like, hey, Chad, ask me what's for dinner. All right, what's for dinner? Whoa.
You're just. I feel like I do it too because I'm kind of with Joe. I think it'd just be mildly entertaining.
Yeah, I don't think it would be too hard for most of my life, but it would be pretty funny at certain occasions.
And if I
Like,
knew
that
I
would
had
be-
a condition, I just carpet my entire house, so it's a soft blow, or just attach like
Yeah.
tiny little air mattresses.
Yeah.
Just,
Now imagine if your legs
Air
like
bags.
forcibly give out. I'm imagining you're like standing with a fridge open and somebody asks you the question and you just like forcefully
Tear the
fall
door up.
forward into the fridge.
Boom, boom, boom.
You have like the fridge open and you like slam your
like
face onto
into
the
the
shelf and
salad,
fall
like the
down.
leftover salad.
Yeah.
That's like in there.
You're like, well, guess not that. That's
We're not
for
having
dinner.
salad for dinner
What's
tonight.
for dinner? None of those things.
We'll order out.
It's like the classic where the kids want to order out, but I want to cook because I don't want to spend the money. And so then they're just like, I know what to do.
Oh, but that could get dangerous.
You're
if
like-
you're cooking over.
Oh,
the
yeah,
stove.
we'd be
Cooking like
broke.
oil, like.
We'd be so
All
broke.
right, kids, I'm making some chicken pasta. They're like, that sounds disgusting. Hey, Dad, what's for dinner? I just hope.
I like burn my face.
My face! You have really mean kids if that's
I have really rude children.
Dad
Kids
took
are not
away my
nice.
Wii. I'll show him.
I'll show him.
Yeah.
If I can't play the Wii, nobody
No one
can.
I think I'll still take it though. I have to be very dangerous around hot food and around the grill.
Careful.
I won't be the grill master.
I can imagine I'd be like, I know the situation, and they'd be like, hey, Dad, what's for? And I'd be like, don't say it.
Don't.
They say, hey, what's for dinner? And you immediately sit down. You're like, nope.
Hey,
can't
Dad,
get
what's
anything.
for? Sit.
And crisscross applesauce on the floor now.
Then
Yeah,
the
just,
chair's
like,
leg,
right
then
where
the
you
chair's
are.
legs just give out. If you sit in the chair though, then the chair just breaks. All right. Final scenario is mine. So you get all your student loans paid off. That's a lot of money. You get all of them paid off. But
Mhm.
every time you're in a group of people, you are visibly the shortest person in that group. And it's not
I'll
like
take
buying
it. I'm already visibly the shortest person in every friend group I'm in.
it's not like by an inch though. It's by a good like 5 or 6 inches. It's by half
Like you're
a
like
foot.
really obviously the shortest. Does this mean I shrink to be shorter than everyone,
Or
or
just everyone
Yes.
grow.
And you don't feel it. It just happens like that. It's not like,
right?
oh,
Okay.
I'm compressing.
Just like visually, it's like all of a sudden I'm the shortest.
Right.
Well, see, that's not too out of my wheelhouse because all three of my roommates were taller than me last semester.
I feel like you're pretty tall though, Joe.
Yeah, you're
How
pretty
tall
tall
are you?
though, Joe.
You
Like
would
if you
think
hang
that,
around
right?
with me, you're shorter than me by 5 inches.
You would think that. I'm about 6'1", but my roommates were 6'4", 6'3", and 6'2". So
Well,
Oh
you're
wow.
gonna be
it
5'4".
was a little. Yeah, I'd be 5. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I could totally handle
Oh
that.
God,
I
I'd
don't
be
care if I'm visually shorter than everyone.
like, so are we talking inches? Like just like 5 inches off? So I'd be like 5'2".
No, he
Uh,
means that like when you walk into a group of people, like if you're not already the shortest by a lot, you shrink
you
so
just
that
shrink.
visibly you are by far the shortest person in the group.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you leave that group, you'll go back to normal. But like,
Yeah.
it's not like if you go hang out with like 5 NBA players, you're not gonna magically become like 6'1" if they're all 6'6".
Yeah. It's like if
Mhm.
you're not already obviously shorter than everyone, little adjustments happen. I could totally do that. I don't care about being taller than everybody.
I don't know. It might make dating harder. I won't lie.
Don't
There's a lot of people
don't
who are
care
like, I'm not superficial, but I mean, a lot of girls like guys that are taller than them.
I actually am not thinking about dating.
Which
I'm
is such a
thinking about
problem for me since I'm 5'7".
Yeah. I really like rock climbing, and I'm thinking rock climbing is made easier by the fact that I'm taller. And if I was hanging out with a bunch of people rock climbing, I would immediately become shorter than everyone, and then
Yep.
I'd have to learn how to
Yeah.
climb. Not only would I have to learn how to climb at a shorter height, I'd have to learn how to climb at different heights.
Oh,
Because
join
every
the
time I'd go
club.
rock climbing, it would be different. Like every time I went, I would be a little bit of a different height. That would be kind of irritating to deal with.
Here's something weird. What if you're like, one of those ASO coaches and you're just coaching a bunch of 6th graders, like as a soccer coach?
No.
And you just yelling from
no.
the sidelines like 3-1, and you're just like,
You're like
go get
coaching your 6-year-old's kindergarten
Does your
soccer
voice
team, and now
change
you're
too with your height? Or is
Yes.
it...
The shorter you get, the higher pitch your voice
the
gets.
higher pitch the voice goes.
So like I would feel so bad for like every like kindergarten teacher. They would just like shrink to like,
All right, kids,
to,
show
like,
and tell.
Now I know it's really hard for you to take me seriously right now, but I want you all to know that this is a serious situation. We need to. Hey, Jeff, stop laughing. Stop. You need to be taking this seriously.
really
I
need to
expect
go
to be
over
taken
addition
seriously.
day. Need to
I
be
don't
able
think
to count to
Uh,
10.
And
I
imagine
don't think
bring
I
your
could
kid
do
to
it.
work day.
Oh man.
You'd be like, this is my child.
All right, everybody. This is.
Hi, everyone.
I
Jake,
don't
what
think,
happened?
I don't think I could do it.
I
And
have
not
a
for.
condition.
I don't think I could do it, and not for superficial reasons, for like athletics. Like the stuff that I like to do would be made a lot harder if I'm constantly changing height every time I go to the gym. That sounds really irritating. And then like
I
on
could
top
never
of that,
do it. I never work in the field of work that I'm going into. I would never work
Yeah.
unless they're like making a remake
Hey,
of Wizard
you
of
could
Oz.
be crutchy. You would be the perfect crutchy.
Or
I'd be
Quasimodo.
I could never be in Newsies. I am not a dancer. I could never be in Newsies.
I don't think crutchy does that much dancing. He's a cripple.
Still though, he does like weird. I feel like not weird. I
That
shouldn't.
cripple is a better
He
dancer than I
He
am.
does like
Cripple.
dances, like, with his
Andrew
crutch.
Keenan
And doesn't he
Bolger.
have the whole dance move where like he literally just jumps over the crutch? Like I
Oh,
can't.
geez, I don't remember.
I
Andrew
can't.
Keenan Bolger
I
is
can't
very
even like jump
acrobatic.
over like I can't even jump over like a chair. It's like parkour. Like I can't
Parkour.
do that.
Hardcore.
Hardcore parkour.
Well,
Hardcore parkour.
so final
think I can do
answers.
it.
It's
Final
no.
answer is no.
No, I'm a no.
No.
I'm out on this one. All right. Yeah, especially if like I already don't want to be around kids that much, like little kids. Now I would really not want to be around little kids.
Oh my God. Imagine like the birth of your first child. You all of a sudden go from being like 5'7" to like, woo!
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
as soon as the baby enters the room, you're like, oh no.
I'm melting. Like
you can
just like
never
a little
like hold
fly.
your child. You will always be smaller than like your infants. You wouldn't ever like really be able to hold your child until they
Hold
get
your
like
child.
older. That's no.
And we'll say
absolutely not.
your body proportions shrink with it too. You're not just like a pancake where you're like 1 foot tall, but you're still
Right,
like,
but like
you know,
based on how
wingspan is still
small.
5 or 5'9" or whatever.
Yeah. But
I
like
mean, like,
still,
also think about like when you're just like walking on the sidewalk, like you're just like going like, like just like consistently
that would be really
height
funny.
based on who you walk past.
That would actually be really funny. But the baby thing is also a killer for me. Like you would never really be able to like hold your child. You know.
No more babies.
Hold your child.
Yeah. And
All
you
right.
would be like
Definitely
insufferably
not.
short in your house if you ever had an infant around. That's a no.
Well, as per normal, folks, we've gone over time. A regular
Sorry.
tradition on our show. But you know what? We were having fun. We were having a good episode, so I don't really care. Jake, thank you so much for being on our show this week.
David, thank you for having me. And Joe, marvelous to see you both.
You're a phenomenal guest. You're a very good speaker. We love having you on here. Is there anything you would like to promote as we send you off? Maybe So Not a Problem or anything else that you've been doing that's really cool recently?
Yeah, you could check out my acapella group's Instagram, which is at Sonata Problem Acapella. And we also have, we're on like every social media platform. I am actually I'm the PR coordinator for Sonata Problem. So I run all the social media. So everything you see is from me. And so yeah, check us out. If you have a place for us to sing, we'll do it once this is all over. Because we didn't get to do like our final concert, or like every acapella group probably, we didn't get to do like a final concert or anything like that. So we're really itching to get back to work. So yeah, check us out.
Right on.
Other than that, I have literally nothing going on in my life. So
do you guys have any recorded music people can find somewhere? Like
yes, we have an
Spotify?
EP. We have an EP on Spotify from 2 years ago. We are hoping to make another. We'll make another one eventually when we're back in school. But yeah, there's 3 songs on there. Yeah, It's Not a Problem acapella.
Right on.
Central.
So everyone, go
come to North Central. You can come audition for us. I will be there.
So everyone, go hit up So Not a Problem. And once again, Jake, thanks for having us. Thank you, Jake, for having us on your show.
Thank you for coming to my talk show. I'm very, very happy.
I'm so blessed to be on the Jake Rehling show.
I would love to have a talk show one day. I should make it like a personal goal.
Yeah.
I would watch it.
Are you thinking late night or are you thinking like daytime television?
I feel like daytime because
like a sort of Ellen show?
Yeah. Along those lines. If I went late night, I'd be like Jimmy Fallon.
Okay.
What would be the name of your late night show? There's like the Daily Show, the Tonight Show, the Late Late Show. Like, what would be the name of your show?
Jake's Clubhouse.
Maybe like the Moon Show, because the moon is out. When you watch my show.
You're running out of original names for late night talk shows. There's so many of them at this point.
Show.
Yeah, late night show is I think what James Corden has.
Yeah, Late Late is James Corden's show. It's actually my favorite late night talk show. But yeah, there's so many of them now. It's ridiculous.
There's like you can't everyone should. I would just come up with the late show.
Boom.
Just keep adding lates onto it.
For all the nocturnal people out there,
welcome everybody to the Late Show. We film at 4 a.m.
Hey, all you insomniacs.
What's going on?
I'd watch it. I've been up till 4 like the last 3 days in a row. So yeah, I'd watch it.
All right.
I was like that, but I had to stop myself because I was sleeping till 1 p.m. or noon, and I was like, I'm wasting the day.
You stopped yourself? Because I went and bought a bunch of Red Bull earlier today so I could keep doing it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I have these Walgreens sleeping pills that I take. I just chew them up and I'm out.
Alrighty.
Fun.
Well,
it's fun. What?
Joe, anything else you have left to say?
This is like a very typical like Midwestern goodbye. Like we've said goodbye like
Oh,
5
yeah.
times now.
Oh, wait for sleeping pills.
Anybody that's not from the Midwest, we are terrible at saying goodbye.
Oh yeah.
It drags on and on and on. Till,
It's
I
like
have one
45
thing. I have
minutes.
one thing left to say. Well,
Yeah,
we
exactly.
gotta get going.
We say like goodbye by the door, by the car.
Bye. Should really get going.
Oh, okay, bye, Joe. Oh,
Bye.
Okay. Wait, Joe, I have one
okay.
more thing to say.
Oh, you have something to say?
I have one more thing to say.
You have one more thing to say?
Oh.
Okay, what is it?
Oh, all right. Oh.
Oh.
All right.
Oh.
Well, from everyone here, this has been Hansen and Brown. Thank you for watching. Tune in next week, and remember, watch out for that people watching the birds club.
See, I was gonna be like really like like really dramatic, but then you screwed it up. So then it was just
and more importantly, watch out for birds, because bird watching goes both ways.
Eldridge Park, they attack.
Birds are the government.
Goodbye, everyone.